We believe America's going to be attacked again. There's all kinds of intelligence coming in. And one of the high-valued al-Qaeda operatives was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the chief operating officer of al-Qaeda, ordered the attack on 9/11. And they say, he's got information. I said, find out what he knows. And so I said to our team, are the techniques legal? And a legal team says, yes, they are. And I said, use them.
Why is waterboarding legal, in your opinion?
Because the lawyer said it was legal. It said it did not fall within the Anti-Torture Act. I'm not a lawyer. But you got to trust the judgment of people around you, and I do.
Bush has since been accused of seeking the advice he wanted from lawyers he employed.
I will tell you this, using those techniques saved lives. My job was to protect America, and I did. This government does not torture people. You know, we stick to U.S. law and our international obligations.
When he said that, Bush knew the US had already waterboarded Khalid Sheikh Mohammed 183 times. Abu Zubaydah more than 80. The British government believes waterboarding is torture, and lawyers who share that view say Bush could now be prosecuted under international law.
Look, first of all, we used this technique on 3 people. Captured a lot of people and used it on 3. We gained valuable information to protect the country, and it was the right thing to do as far as I'm concerned.
Valuable information, says Bush, that foiled plots against Heathrow and Canary Wharf, although that's disputed by a former Labour minister. This book's all about portraying George W. Bush as the decider, the man who went with his gut instinct on all the really big decisions. But he doesn't seem to connect that style of government with its consequences. He says he was blindsided when he saw the photographs of abuse inside Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. He claims he was shocked by the looting and the violence that followed the invasion of Iraq. And he says he was shocked again when they failed to find any weapons of mass destruction there.
Was there ever any consideration of apologizing to the American people?
I mean, apologizing would basically say the decision was a wrong decision, and I don't believe it was the wrong decision. I will say, definitely, the world is better off without Saddam Hussein in power, as are 25 million people who now have a chance to live in freedom.
Bush admits he thought about sacking his Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld when those Abu Ghraib pictures came out, but claims there was no one else, no one at all, that could take his place. And Bush concedes he should never have declared mission accomplished in Iraq.
No question, it was a mistake. And if I had to do it over again, which you don't get to do when you're the president, you know, I'd have said, good going, men and women. Great mission, or something, I don't know what it is. But
since leaving office, Bush has never criticised his successor, and he doesn't now. But he is convinced history will judge him to have been a great president. He concedes, though, that probably won't happen until after he's dead. Sarah Smith, Channel 4 News, Washington.
Well, in a moment, the human rights lawyer Jeffrey Robertson on whether George Bush could face arrest. But first, our Home Affairs correspondent Simon Israel. And is there any way of us knowing whether waterboarding saved British lives?
Well, he quotes 2 particular plots. One, Heathrow, where the allegations emerging from America, and only America because it's not confirmed here, is that there was a plan to fly in crash 4 hijacked planes into Heathrow way back in the early 200s. And this emerged allegedly from the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed interrogations and waterboarding. And the second one is Canary Wharf. But there's never been any great detail about Canary Wharf and whether this was just a plan or whatever. But the only information that's emerged really is from America. None of it has been confirmed here, and Downing Street wouldn't confirm anything about this today. They would simply talk about the issues to do with waterboarding and how they regard that as illegal, unlike George Bush.
And so they're clear it's torture?
Yes. There is no doubt that the British government has always maintained that they regarded waterboarding as torture and in breach of several conventions. And in fact, Jonathan Evans, the Director General of MI5, seen here on the screen, he said last year in a speech that MI5, the security services here, were slow to catch on to the abuses in the US system and now have to work extremely hard in order to guarantee that the intelligence they get is not obtained or is not obtained through torture in the way that they need to use it, and in the courts here now, as a direct result of allegations of torture that emerged much earlier on, 4 or 5 years ago, it's not acceptable as evidence anymore.
Simon Israel. Well, let's go to Jeffrey Robertson now, the human rights lawyer. I mean, George Bush says, look, I had to listen to my lawyers. I'm not a lawyer myself. They said it was legal. How can he possibly be arrested?
He has a law degree from Yale, and ignorance of the law is no defense. It's very clear that in the definition in international law of torture is officials imposing severe pain, physical or mental, in order to extract confessions. And there is no doubt to any honest lawyer that waterboarding does do precisely that. So ignorance of the law is no defense. He's an ex-president, as General Pinochet was when he came to England, so he doesn't have any immunity. So I think you could say that writing or publishing this book, and obviously he took advice before he rendered himself potentially liable, may constrict George Bush's retirement travel. But on the other hand, before he was president, he didn't travel outside America much. I think he only went to Mexico. So I don't think that will trouble him. But technically, in the countries which have ratified the Torture Convention, which places an obligation on them in relation to people suspected of ordering torture, they should either try them themselves or extradite them to a country that will. He may face problems.
So if he came to Britain, would there be an obligation to arrest him?
Well, there would certainly, the Torture Convention certainly encourages investigations, and the book rather amounts to a confession that he ordered waterboarding. However, there are ways it would have to be arranged under the Diplomatic Privileges Act. He could come as an ambassador perhaps and obtain immunity, but that is a matter that would, I think, severely test the Foreign Office were he to come and see his friend Mr. Blair. But in any event, he's obviously made the calculation that there are countries where proceedings might be instituted against him, those being countries he has no desire to visit.
Jeffrey Robertson, thank you very much indeed. Now, as David Cameron started his trade mission to China today,